Hello, everyone, and welcome to the official Adobe Live Holiday Week. My name is James Bonanno, and I will be your host for the next hour with my little Santa hat on, so no judgment here. Happy holidays, everyone, as we are getting so close to just a wonderful holiday season. I am so excited to be on Adobe Live to start the week inside of Premiere Pro. In today's stream, we're going to be specifically talking about how to create one of my favorite holiday recipe dishes with a ton of giveaways and some tips and tricks inside of Premiere, which we will get into here in a minute. But for those that are joining us for the very first time, welcome to the community. Welcome to Behance. We have a lot of people in the chat: Cody, Penny, Oliver, Alejandro, Robert. It's going to be an awesome stream. I am so excited to have you all here. And if you have not yet subscribed to the Adobe Live world and ecosystem, follow us on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, come join us here on Behance, and let's just make this an interactive next hour of Adobe Live on this beautiful Monday, chilly Monday in here in the office, wherever you are joining us from. That being said, niceties out of the way. Again, I'm very excited to be teaching one of my favorite holiday recipes today and going over how to create a really compelling reel in the process. Throughout the stream, if you are participating in the stream today, you will notice the link below on Behance has some amazing giveaways. There's going to be a free Mogurt that I created specifically for this stream. And before we get started, we're going to go over one of the freebies, which is a checklist on some of the do's and don'ts and the best practices for creating a really compelling, high-quality reel. So before we get started, if you are new here and you want to familiarize yourself with what it is that I do, again, my name is James, and I am a professional filmmaker, video editor, and an educator here on Adobe Live. If you have not yet followed me, head over to my Instagram. I love getting DMs from other creators and other people that are in the community. It's a huge part of why I do what I do. So come and say hello, shoot me a message. There are a lot of other little tips and tricks inside of Premiere Pro that I teach here on my Instagram. And my wife and I also run a travel company called Leave the Map. So if you want to follow us over there on our Instagram, we are all about getting out and exploring the world, stepping out of our comfort zone, and trying to do that through storytelling with video and photography. So I would love, again, for you to reach out, to connect. And again, right here on Behance, my wife is in the stream, Anna McNaught. You probably all know her. There's her beautiful face. And let's just get going. Let's get started today. I am so excited to go over this one. My mouth will be watering from the meal that we had last night, and hopefully you guys at home will enjoy it as well. So before we get started, there's a couple things that I want to just highlight here. So if you download the link, I'm going to pull this up for everyone. If you do not have it, but there's a freebie, a little free checklist that I created specifically for this stream. Like we said, this holiday week on Adobe Live is going to be packed with freebies from other creators. I am just one of them here on more of a motion-based stream. And this checklist is very basic, but it also, if you have never created a reel, if you're a little intimidated about creating some high quality video, this checklist is a great way to start and just use as sort of a reference for you moving forward. And as you can see, I've sort of broken it down into a couple different categories. We have cinematography, lighting, audio, and post-production. There is a lot more that I could have included in here, but like I said, this is a really great sort of starting off point and a way to get you started. I think the most important thing you have to remember when creating these reels, as engaged viewers on Instagram, these reels are becoming so much more high quality, which is amazing to see as a filmmaker myself and a video editor. And it's pushed me to create some higher quality videos to post on my page to share with the community. And so the first thing I try to think about is cinematography. Am I going to be shooting this on my phone, or will I be shooting it on a cinema camera or a mirrorless camera or something that just has a little bit more dynamic range and punch to it? And in this case, in this video, that's exactly what I did, just to give it a higher production quality. I always try to shoot in 4K in a vertical format if I'm specifically creating for an Instagram reel. And I won't go through this entire checklist, but you can kind of see some of the best practices that I've included. And again, I'd love to hear your comments in the chat. Comment on the video on YouTube once it's up after the stream, and let me know what are some of the best practices that you use to create the best videos that you possibly can. Lighting, natural light is always your best friend, but I tend to use a lot of artificial light to control the scene. If I'm shooting at night or during the day, nothing's really changing throughout. And audio, as we're going to hear here in a little bit, is so important for sound design, for sound effects. We have music, we have voiceover. There's a lot of different things that go into creating this reel, even if it is, 8 seconds, 5 seconds, 20 seconds, what have you. And these are just sort of the types of, microphones that you may use. You might use a lavalier if you're out shooting on your own. You might want to use a shotgun mic, something like what I'm using here to get that really nice crisp audio, a podcast mic, or a boom mic on your camera. And yeah, just a lot of really good little tips and tricks in here. So this is freebie number 1. If you're joining us, I wanted to get that out of the way. And if you want to keep this up in the background as we go through this reel, it might be a good reference for you. And stay tuned for the end as we have another awesome freebie that's going to help just amplify that video a little bit more. All righty, let's get going. Ariane, Jack, Mike, what is up, everyone? I'm so excited to be here right now. I'm feeling the holiday spirit and the holiday vibes. So today, what we are going to do is I've already started to create a little bit of the reel that we're going to hopefully finish on the stream. Again, if we don't finish, I will be sharing this later today. So check out the final product. But the goal of today is to go through some of the best practices to show you how I created some of this recipe and hopefully get you a little hungry in the process. All right, so I'm just going to start and we're going to play back the first like 10 seconds to see what I've already started with. And then we're going to break down and sort of rebuild some of the reel the way it is right now. Okay. So you'll notice here in my workspace, I'm in vertical workspace. Normally, if you're, shooting a standard project, 1080, 1920 by 1080 in a landscape format, this is where you'd want to be. But I don't really like using this because it being 9 by 16, it just doesn't really cover a lot of the screen. So Premiere makes it very, very easy for you to come in here and go to the vertical format. And that way I can see the entire reel as it might look on my phone, and then my timeline and all my projects here to the left. All right, so I'm going to play this back and make this full screen. If I click inside of my program window and I press tilde, that will make this full screen. Don't judge my grimy hands right now. They were covered in olive oil when I did this shot, but let's just see what we got so far. Let's make one of my favorite holiday recipes, a traditional ragu with homemade tagliatelle. First, start by dicing some onions, carrots, and celery, and sweat down your mirepoix in a cast iron Dutch oven. Once browned about 8 minutes, go in with ground beef, ground pork, and diced pancetta. All right, so that's where we're at so far. And I don't know how you are all feeling about that, but I'm feeling the holiday vibes. I'm feeling the music. I'm feeling the voiceover. All those things come together to really tie the whole story. And I really, really love that you can create that energy through just a couple really basic, sound design elements. So the first thing I want to point out, well, first of all, if there's foodies in the chat, please let me know. I am a huge cook. I have a passion for cooking. I always have. I come from a pretty large Italian family. And so it's almost meditative for me. So it was a very easy transition to want to create a recipe video. And this is just one of my many favorite recipe videos to make around the holidays when it's really cold outside, when you're looking for almost like a warm soup, but you want it in a more Italian sort of pasta flavor. So this recipe here, if you follow along, you'll probably get most of the recipe. I didn't include the full recipe, but it's very, very simple. And the best part of this recipe is just time. You just want to let it sit. If you have some time to watch some football, to get some work done, let this thing sit. And the longer it sits, the better it'll taste. All right. So the first thing I have here in my bin is, like you've probably seen on other streams that I've done here, I have everything sort of categorized by the camera I used and the footage. So it's very clear where things are. I have the Canon R5, which I shot all of this video on. So again, you could do this on your cell phone. You could do this on whatever camera you want. In my case, I just chose to elevate the quality a little bit more. And you can see that all these clips in here were actually shot vertically. So I have a little rig on my camera and I like to mount that in 9:16 format. So it's native to an Instagram reel. And I used to shoot everything landscape and then crop in. And I realized that in the new age of everything being vertical format first, it's just easier to shoot in that native way and just makes your life a lot easier when you're coming into the post-production process. All right, so what I did already, just to save us some time on this stream, is I went in and I grabbed all of my clips and I have a recipe videos selects folder. And so with every project I do, especially one that's sort of as robust as this and follows a bit of an order, I like to put everything into a selects window. And I go through and I find the best moments that I think I may use. And of course, for let's say a 30-second or a minute-long video, I am in no way going to use all these clips. But this allows me to then use my arrows on my keyboard and just sort of scroll, excuse me, just sort of scroll through to see the best parts of the video that I want to use. Okay. Now, another thing I always try to think about when I'm shooting videos like this is the variety of angles that I want to actually include. It would be extremely boring if you just watched this one angle. Let's just go back to the beginning here, the entire time. It works for some people, I think, if the pace of the edit is quick, but I like to just trick the viewer a little bit, keep them engaged as much as possible, and show different angles so that when you're watching it, you're feeling the flow of what it would be like in the kitchen as you're actually shooting and recording and cooking this video, right? So you see that we have a lot of different clips in here, and all of it sort of follows the process of the recipe in the order that I shot it, okay? So that's always my first step. I did this already, again, to save us some time here. And then what I like to do is I create another sequence. So if you've never created a sequence, Command N, or just File, new sequence up the top if you're old school and you don't want to do shortcuts, but why would you not? Command N, and I already have a custom 9x16 2997 format, and then I just name that whatever it is, and in this case, this is my version 1 of the holiday recipe video. And then what I like to do is I create like a pancake edit. So I've talked about this in the past, and all I do is I drag down my draft here, and you'll notice from dragging it here to here, a purple line will appear at the bottom of my timeline here, and I'll drag this. So now what I have is I have these stacks. And the reason I like to do this is I have all my selects picked out here, and then my stack below is the start of my draft. So all I have to do is basically drag and drop clips onto my timeline. Shift minus or Shift plus will actually expand that timeline in a really quick way. And then this allows me to sort of work almost like a painter or an artist, where you'd take a collage from the top and bring it onto your master canvas. That's the way I like to work in this sort of situation. All right. So the first thing I wanted to do here is have the narrative be driven by voiceover. And that will allow me to then time my clips rather than me put a whole really, really long timeline together with just the clips. I want to start with the voiceover and lead, and then add the clips on top of it. I think it'll be just an easier way for me to go about it. All right, and so you'll see here, we're going to just clear the in and out points here. You'll see that I actually already have the voiceover recorded on a separate sequence altogether. And again, this then allows me to just drag and drop these clips right into my draft. All right, so if I play some of this back, once browned, break up your meat with a spoon until browned and cooked through. Okay, so this is the way that I personally like to go through voiceover. I'll basically create a script, and I created a script ahead of time based on the recipe, based on the pacing, how fast I wanted this video to move and how long I wanted it to be. And so you can see this is like about 1 minute and 40 seconds, which I think is a little bit too long for this video, but Instagram Reels are no longer just like an 8-second thing. I think TikTok is now 10-minute videos or even longer. Maybe it's like an hour. So timing wise, it's really up to whatever the project is that you're working on. So in this case, I recorded all the voiceover ahead of time, again, because I wanted to make sure we had more time to get into some of the details of the actual video today. And then what I do is I start dragging this down into my window, and we start building it from there. All right, so I'm gonna basically just pick up where we left off, and we're gonna build the rest of this together, or in the best way possible, build it together. And I'm gonna keep my recipe video selects up top. Okay, and then I'm gonna have my draft down below. And you'll see that I name it like _V001. That's just a habit that I get into working as a professional editor with other editors. In this case, I'm probably not gonna make 11 different versions of this, but it's a good note if you are working professionally as an editor to always name your versions. And I don't just go version 1 or version 2, because there could be 100 versions. We don't really know, depending on a client giving you feedback. And in that case, you should be charging a lot more money if there's 100 versions. So just another little secret pro tip there. All right, so let's see where we're at with homemade tagliatelle. Okay, so we're gonna go clear this out and dice pancetta. Break up your meat with a... Okay, so I'm gonna actually just solo the voiceover. We're gonna mute our music. What do we think about the music in there? Should we have a little poll, see if anyone's thinking it shouldn't be Christmas theme? Are we liking the jazz? I personally just think it's, I don't know, it just feels very, very festive and very on brand for the Adobe Live holiday week going on all week long. All right, so break up your meat with a spoon until browned and cooked through. All right, so this is a very easy, just sort of see and say. So see and say, whatever the voiceover is saying is what we ideally like to see. So it could be one clip, it could be a couple clips. So let's see where we're at. And again, having a selects sequence allows me to very quickly now go through with my arrow and not have to then go back up into my project window, double click on each clip and do the whole process. It's a very easy time-saving way to go about it. Cody likes the jazz, digging the jazz, obviously. All right, so let's see. We got some good sound, although my hand is in the way here. So let's see if we have, like, that's pretty nice. We get a little bit of that nice sound design, breaking it up. And let's just go Command K. That's my shortcut for cutting a clip. And then what we'll do is we'll just come down here, and I'm actually going to lock my music track so that it doesn't move. It's much longer than the video itself. We're gonna lock that. And then I like to try, in this case, to use the sound of the kitchen. I think it just gives it a really, really nice look. And I wanna be able to do that most of the way through. But about halfway through, we started making the pasta. We were having a little more fun. There was banter in the background. So that's when maybe the music will take over, and we'll try to see if we can add some sound design in the end to just imitate what the sound was in the kitchen. You know, it's just a great way to bring you into that scene. Music is slow. This is dynamic. Thank you, Penny. Terry, vegan foodie. All right, so let's play this back. Okay, so we're gonna not solo that. Break up your... All right, so we see that we can actually lose some of this voice over here and drag this back so we go right into the next line. Again, this diced pancetta. Break up your meat with a spoon. Cool. Okay, so this is pretty nice. Let's see, maybe we have another clip that we can add where it's a little browner. And I like just the sound of the spoon on the Dutch oven there. So Command K. All right, and they're gonna be very quick cuts, right? So the beautiful thing is that you can kind of just drag this down and then time it and then sort of work your way down the timeline a little bit. The spoon until browned. Cool. All right, until browned. Break up your meat with a spoon until browned and cooked through. Roughly, okay, so 15 minutes. Roughly 15 minutes. I don't know if I necessarily need to include that. It's important maybe for the viewer, but I think I don't really necessarily have more clips of it being brown like that. Let's see, maybe we want to go in and what's the next line here that I say? Let's drag this over. Then go in with 2.5 cups of chicken broth. Okay, so 2.5 cups of chicken broth, boom. If you're following, write this down. This is a great recipe. And again, it's very easy to make. It just takes time. That's all you need. You just need a little bit of time. So we got sort of one little shot here of the chicken broth. And I actually like that it comes out of the frame. So what I'm going to do is take this part and I'm going to go Command K, drag this down. Okay. And I'm going to actually go Command R, and this is going to reverse the clip. Then go in with 2.5, which is really kind of a cool way to just bring some other element and dynamic element into the frame. And so this is another thing, another little pro tip. If you can't get something focused in this sort of situation, what I tend to do is I will put the focal point or the subject in the frame, and then I'll pull my hand out like I did here, and then I just reverse it so that I know I have a really nice sharp image for it to end on. So if we drag this out, then go in with 2.5 cups of... Awesome. That looks really, really good. Hey, Judy, Chef James in the kitchen. Always. Chef James. I think in a previous life, I could have been a chef. Maybe. It's still a bit of a pipe dream of mine. If anyone else feels as passionately about cooking, let me know in the chat. This is the season to do it. Alrighty, so let's go. Then go in with 2.5 cups of chicken broth. Cool. And you can see that I'm keeping the audio, even though I have the music, the voiceover, and the audio, they're all playing together. They're playing like the recipes or the ingredients in these dishes, if you will. And I think they just add another human element to it. And it feels like you're in my kitchen cooking with me, hopefully. All right, so broth and a few tablespoons of tomato paste. Okay, a few tablespoons of the old tomato paste. All right, so we're gonna do the same thing here, right? So again, another little pro tip, consistent editing. So match cuts or similar editing styles. I think about when I'm shooting a video like this. I'm trying to shoot things in a similar manner. So if we go back real quick, you'll notice that I filmed all of these clips in the exact same way. 8 minutes. Go in with ground beef, ground pork, and diced pancetta. Right, so a very slow autofocus gives it just some consistency and just a nice aesthetically pleasing way to add some flair to your video. All right, so we're back here add our tomato paste. And you can see I've already reversed this, I believe. Let's play it back. And if you, okay, so I'm going to go Command R. And if you don't have that shortcut, just go here to speed and duration. This is great because you can actually change some of this like frame blending for some clips that were shot in a different frame rate. In this case, all I'm doing is changing the speed and I'm reversing it. So that's all we're going to do on that one. Makes it very easy. Broth. And if you, all right, so I think there's too much dead space. Again, people's attention spans are limited these days, and you got to capture them as quickly as you can. Writing a fun cookbook. Cups of chicken broth and a few tablespoons. Okay, sweet. So I'm going to drag this out a little bit. Let's leave the tomato paste and a few tablespoons. Okay, tomato paste. So I know I have a shot of me putting these things into my Dutch oven here. So I'm going to bring my audio down here. We're going to drag this over. And this is fun. It's just like timing. You're just trying to find the clips that work, the best timing. I left this out right here because I may go back and cooked through. Let's just delete that now. Roughly 15. I don't think we need to worry about that. And all I did there is highlight that and I pressed W. That's what's called a ripple delete. So that allows you to, rather than highlight this, delete it, press A, drag everything over with the click of one button, Command K and then W, you can actually shift your whole clip down the timeline. Just save, it saves so much time. This is how I edit most videos. All right. Then go in with 2.5 cups. Let's drag this out a little bit. Then go in with 2.5 cups of chicken broth and a few tablespoons. Cool. So I'm liking the pace there. I'm liking how things are looking. And if anyone's wondering in the chat, again, like I said, I shot all of this on my Canon R5 for the camera nerds on the stream like myself. And I used a 50 millimeter RF lens with a very, very sharp shallow depth of field, which is allowing me to highlight certain ingredients in a way that I think an iPhone necessarily can't do as well. I think plenty of people make it look perfect, but this mixed with lighting is and some framing is really all you need to make this work. All right, so let's keep going down here. Okay, here's the tomato paste part. So we'll just take basically me taking this out of the jar right there. Okay, this is so weird. I'm like just showing you guys I'm showing you how the sauce is made actually of tomato paste. Cool. And I like the sort of the little sound on the tomato paste. Cool, right there. So it's like there's a rhythm to it. There's a flow even with the music and even with the sound design. All right, so we're gonna then go to our next spot. And it becomes a little bit more like formulaic in this sort of context, but I do like it this way. I get into a flow. And then what I do is I go back in and I start to refine maybe some transitions, the pace, some titles. Stick around at the end of the stream. You will be getting a couple of those from me to, help amplify your videos. It's just a fun way to add another little extra spice. Add salt and pepper to taste. Okay, salt and pepper to taste. Boom. If you are into cooking, this is basically rule 1, 2, 3, and 4. You can never really over salt. Add salt and pepper to taste. Okay, so I actually want to go the pepper second and the salt first. Sweet. I like to keep a little bit of a salt jar on my counter, and I have a pepper grinder so I can access these very quickly. Now you're getting a little glimpse into James as a chef. Add salt and pepper to taste. Okay, salt. It's too quick. We're going to drag this back out. Add salt and pepper to taste and let sit. Awesome. And let's sit. Pepper to taste and let sit for over a couple of hours. And that is true. Like the longer you let this sit, once it's all in the pot, the better it gets. I think like any good Italian recipe is pretty simple in terms of ingredients. A lot of it just takes time and some patience. And on a snowy, rainy Sunday yesterday with family, this was the perfect dish to go into. All right, so now I have let sit over a couple of, and I'm gonna try to find something that I filmed that was just like watching it simmer. This really is a simple tomato paste. And a few tablespoons of tomato paste. 2.5 cups of chicken broth. So in this case, we don't actually have me pouring it into the Dutch oven yet, but I actually like that we're seeing it measured. So what I'll do is at the end here, I'll actually get another clip of me pouring the broth into the ragu here. Okay, you can see me in the background. There we go. Boom, quick enough. and we're just dragging and dropping, just having a good old time. And I'm curious in the chat, what is your favorite holiday recipe to either make or to have someone else make you? I feel like this time of year is just perfect for getting all cozy at home, no matter where you live, and cooking up a really delicious meal. I'm very curious to hear what anyone in the chat has to say about that. I'm sure it is delicious. And let's sit for over a couple of, cool. And I actually think it works well there, especially with the sound of the broth going in. And then what I'm gonna do is just take this clip here. That'll get in the background. Okay, so the audio there, we can see we were all talking, so I'm just gonna drag the clip itself in a couple of hours. This really is cool. It is a simple, okay, and this is another little piece of voiceover I put in here that I might actually remove. This really is a simple recipe, but the secret ingredient is time. And I mean, that's important. I think that's cool. It like sort of humanizes it a little bit. So I might take this clip and see if anything's happening here, or if there's a better clip that just shows some of that. All right, so this is kind of a cool clip where, you know, again, I'm stirring it. I think that's the thing, right? Time is a simple recipe, but the secret ingredient is time. Cool. And I think that works really, really well. We'll keep that for now. Oh, peppermint bark. Anna says, I love watching cooking videos, so this is cool to see how an edit's done. I am obsessed with cooking videos. My Explore page, I don't really post a lot of them on my own page, so I'm very excited to get this uploaded today and share it with the community. But my Explore page is basically just food videos, and I get sucked into every single one. And I think there's a lot of work that goes into it. As you can see here on this stream, I applaud the people that are cooking every single day for the community and doing, you know, really high quality stuff and making some amazing, amazing food. Is time. The longer you simmer the pot on low, the more flavorful it becomes. Okay, so that I think is a little bit redundant. So I'm just gonna remove that voiceover. And this is your, you know, in this case, this is my video just for personal, you know, uses. And I think as long as I'm providing enough value and you can get the idea of what the recipe is, some of those like fluff voiceover pieces can actually be removed, and it helps the pace of the video a little bit more. I really try to keep it under like a minute 20 in this case, which I think we're doing pretty good right now. All right, so we're gonna drag this down. Is time. While the ragu cooks, start the process of making. Okay, cool. So now we're gonna go into the making of the actual pasta. And my brother-in-law and his fiance, who they may be in the stream today, maybe not, just went to Italy last year and brought us back all these amazing just tips of how to actually make homemade pasta. And it's something that I've been a little more intimidated to do, but it is so fun and so easy once you get the process down. And last night we had a blast, the four of us kind of rolling the dough. And I think this is gonna be a really fun part of the video. So actually this is nice. This is a different, so we could always like take that clip, but I don't know. I think me stirring it looks a little bit better. So let's just scroll to the pasta. All right, so we got Christine over here starting the flour. I think that's an important part, but I also don't really think it's necessary. So we're gonna start with the cracking of the egg into the flour here, right on our counter. If you have an open counter space, this is a great place to do it. Put a little flour, create a little mini volcano, egg, flour, water, salt, you're good to go. All right, so let's just drag these clips in and let's see how they work together with the voiceover here. Make it look so easy. It probably quadruples the time. Oh yeah, absolutely. This definitely, filming while you're cooking, you realize how unorganized you are. So I try to keep all the recipe or all the ingredients in a station, but no matter what, there's like a mess everywhere and you're trying to light things differently and it can get a little chaotic for sure. While the ragu cooks, cool. I like the sound of the cracking egg there. While the ragu cooks, maybe like we'll work in 3. So that's like three little clips on the clips or flicks on the egg there. And then we'll get this as it falls into the bowl or falls into the flour. That looks beautiful. All right. And let's see how that's going. Who cooks, start the process of making. Let the video play until you're finished with the dish, or do you just use a remote? Bruce, that's a great question. The question was, you know, if I let the video play the whole time and then cook all the way through, or if I use a remote or take little clips. In this case, I absolutely am doing this in small increments, just based on the file size of shooting on a camera like this. To film for, you know, the course of 3 hours is so much more than I actually need. So I try to break it down into, okay, like here's me dicing veggies. Let me get maybe a 3-minute clip or a 2-minute clip of this, and then I'll pull out my best parts. And I do that all the way through. And so much of it comes with time and practice from doing this, for a long time and shooting. I know how much I might need and which part of the take I'm going to use in the edit. So great question. If you wanted to film all the way through, I'm sure you could, but it's just going to take up a ton of space on your phone or on your memory card. Alrighty. So we're going to keep on rolling here, making your home. Sweet. All right. So we're going to take this little spoon. We're going to actually mute the audio here. Command L just separates that. So we're just bringing the clip down now. Making your homemade pasta. Cool. Simple ingredients: egg, flour, salt, and a bit of water is all you need for the perfect portion. Next, run your pasta through. See, so like that part in the voiceover, I might not actually keep. I think based on this part here, I've already put the egg into the flour. Like I'm already ahead of the pace that I want to be. And then this voiceover seems like it's not really that necessary. So I'm going to delete that, press A on my keyboard, and then I'm going to drag this back down the timeline here. Homemade, trying to imagine logistics of planning ahead to shoot one's cooking. Yeah, the logistics of shooting what you're cooking is a bit of a, you got to have some patience. Things are going to fall over. And yeah, and actually one thing I wanted to point out here, in under this shot here, you can see there's actually a light bar behind me, and I have a light under my fan. It's like a hood, and there's a really nice warm light. It looks great in the kitchen, but for filming purposes, it doesn't really work because it's so warm, and it actually like jitters, so you get this weird shutter effect. So what I did, you might actually be able to see in some of these later clips, is I taped a little LED light bar right above the fan, so it acted as the practical light that essentially was there, but it wasn't actually there. And I just taped it with gaff tape, and then I held it if it was about to fall. So talking about logistics, that's a little trick and something to elevate the lighting and make sure everything feels and looks consistent. Pasta. Next, run your pasta through a pasta maker. Cool, pasta through the pasta maker. Here we go. I actually like some of these here. So let's see if I can get a good one where my hand, there we go. I like that, where we're kneading the dough a little. So let's take that. Let's see. I like this clip a little more. I might have used that in the beginning, but we're going to try to use it again. Here we go. Homemade spinach pasta. Oh, that's probably so good, Robert. Yeah, green Christmas pasta. I kind of missed the boat on that one. I should have done that. Next, run your pasta. Okay, so let's just do that one clip there. And again, you can see this is all just timing. This is me feeling it out. Next, run. Cool. So there we go. And let's go through the pasta maker. Here we go. So again, Christine, if you're watching, thanks for showing us how to properly do this. This is a really cool clip. And this pasta maker is great because you basically run it through at different widths. So you start really thick, and then you gradually go thinner and thinner. And as you're going, you're putting some semolina flour on that dough to make sure it doesn't stick in the pasta maker or really stick to your hands. All right, so we're going to drag this down. Run your pasta through a pasta maker. Okay, so I think that's a long enough clip. Run your pasta through a pasta maker. And I have some other really cool clips, so I want to use those. And you don't have to just use one clip during the voiceover. In this case, this is another angle, which is kind of cool. So let's take that clip here, dragging that down, getting the perfect width. And all right, so now we have a couple different clips, keeping the viewer's attention. We're going to maybe add some of that with her throwing the semolina flour on there. Getting the perfect width and consistency for your... Awesome. So it's really coming together, I think. All right, and then this is cool because now we have another angle. So what did I say here? This is such a fun way. Cool. That's a great look there. Again, this is me framing up the shot with some deliberate action in mind. I'm thinking about the edit as I'm shooting it. And that's the biggest takeaway from creating some of these videos. The more you do it, the more you'll actually think like an editor. And that's why I constantly try to preach to people or just tell people, practice, practice, practice. Shoot everything you can. Understand lighting, understand framing, understand blocking, understand all those things, because when you come into the edit and you start to cut this, you'll realize, oh, okay, those are two similar shots. Maybe I should have thought a little bit differently in how I framed it. All right. Evan helped with the pasta, and they're just champs on making this pasta. And the sauce, yes, it was very, very nice sauce, and just an awesome, beautiful night spent with family. And again, that's what cooking and these kind of videos are all about. It's just getting people together. The cooking and the food in the end is the bonus for your tagliatelle. Cool. I'm just like loving the way this is turning out. I love when I sort of surprise myself. And to be totally honest, a lot of this, I don't really know what the final result will look like. I kind of have an idea in mind, and I'm really excited to see this come together. All righty. Practice, practice, practice. Absolutely, Francis. Yep. That's all it's about for your tagliatelle. Cool. So that clip, you can tell that as I'm going, I'm dragging these clips shorter. Again, this is just from experience and practice of where I think the clip drags on a little bit. If you're watching your own videos as an editor, the best thing you can do is watch the videos back with a non-biased mind, which is very tough to do. And if you start to get even the slightest inkling of boredom as you're watching a clip, or you say in your head, that clip is too long, it's already too long, and the viewer is going to be onto something else. So you have to be kind of cutthroat when it comes to either letting a clip breathe because it's meant to breathe, or cutting it because the viewer has seen enough and they've already made the decision. They know what's going on to the next clip. All right, so that's just another little consistency for your tagliatelle. Cool, I like that. And then now we have, these clips are really cool. I actually like this clip here as we're tossing the pasta. If we keep this voiceover, this is such a fun way to spend the holiday season. Okay, that's pretty sweet. I like that, looks different. This is such a fun way to spend the holiday season cooking together, and a great. So this is an example of the voiceover where I don't actually have something that would work here. It would have been great if we had like a wide shot of the four of us actually in the kitchen cooking. And that's some foresight that could have gone into shooting that before I used the voiceover. And I don't want to really delete it because I do like that voiceover. But let's see, maybe we can add this here, dropping the pasta in the water. And I love this clip here of the tagliatelle actually coming through here, right? So we're gonna keep playing that. This is such a fun way to spend the holiday season cooking together, and a great way to bring family and friends together on a cold winter night. Okay, so I might keep that, I might not, we'll see. Over the course of the last hour, slowly add a bit of milk. Okay, slowly add a bit of milk, and then drop your pasta in the water. Okay, so I have clips for that. And this milk, it might sound kind of weird, but this is basically like the binding agent that goes into the sauce to make it a little bit creamier. And it's a very subtle way to almost has like a chicken noodle soup texture, which is not what you typically have on a traditional bolognese, just like right out of the can. That's what I love about it. Okay, so we're gonna go here. You can see there's some audio in the background. So I'm actually gonna take this, we're gonna drag this in. And a great way to bring family and friends together on a cold winter night. Okay, and then we're gonna go to our clip here. Here's our milk being poured in. So this we're gonna take and drag this down, winter night. All right, so let's start there. Let's delete some of this fluff here. So again, you can see in my clips, I'm removing some of the dead space here. That's what I like to call it, winter night. Over the course of the last hour, slowly add a bit of milk. Okay, a milk here. We've already done that. Good, good, good. So we've added it twice. And then I'm gonna add the pasta water, which we have somewhere in here. Here we go. Me dropping it into the pasta, into the pot. Of milk as the binder to the sauce. And then drop your pasta in a pot of heavily salted water. Cool. So me dropping that in, not very graceful, but it got in there. And I honestly, the more semolina flour you use on the counter to make sure it doesn't like stick and clump together, the better. But regardless, it'll go into the pot and it'll sort of spread. And you only need a couple minutes for it to actually cook. So the pasta going in the water is the very last step before you actually plate everything up. All right, so we're almost getting to the end here. I'm gonna drag this out. Water. Finish off with some fresh grated Parmesan cheese. Okay, fresh grated Parmesan cheese. You could never have enough. Honestly, it's just, I can't live without it, honestly. There's a couple things I can't live without. I think pasta and cheese. Anyone in the chat, what's the one food item that you couldn't live without, regardless of allergies? Milk as the binder to the sauce. And then drop your pasta in a... Okay, so we're gonna just actually add this other clip in, and then drop your pasta in a pot of heavily salted water. Finish off. Okay, so we got one more clip here. Here's the cheese shot. There's me doing a little grating, and you know, it can go on forever because, like I said, I can eat Parmesan cheese all day long. Here we go. Christine is here. Christine is the savior of the pasta maker. She really she taught us how to do this, and can't thank her enough. It was an awesome, awesome night. Water. Finish off with some fresh grated Parmesan cheese. Cool. All right, that drags on a little bit long, but I think it still works. It's you get the idea. And then basically, in this case, there's a couple payoffs that I wanted to film more, but we were all pretty hungry, and at that point, we just wanted to eat. So the payoffs in this situation is me sitting down, trying the meal, and I think a good way to end it. Parmesan cheese and a little pepper. So you can hear me talking because I didn't remember I was filming. And let's see here. Fettuccine Alfredo, favorite of mine. Tough to cut out white rice. Yeah, Francis, I'm with you. Tacos, oh, 100%. Bruce, this is not a handed down family recipe, believe it or not. My family are wonderful cooks, but this is something that I sort of learned on my own from a couple different well-known chefs in the Italian world, and something that I've stuck with over the last couple of years. So, and a little pepper. All right, so there we go. And then I'm gonna take that last clip of me sampling it and trying it. As I'm looking off camera here, these are the outtakes. So here we go, me eating it. And enjoy your creation. Okay, and then I have one little clip of me saying something at the end that's like,
oh yeah, oh yeah.
All right, so let's maybe end on that. Again, this is not the greatest payoff, excuse me, the greatest payoff, but it's a payoff. Your creation.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Cool, let's just do oh yeah, or just one oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet, and maybe I want to add like one clip at the end to almost come back to at the beginning. So maybe the clip is, let's see here. Yeah, I think we're actually in pretty good shape, honestly. All right, so you can see how quickly that took. I mean, it really took up the whole stream, but basically that's my process, and that's how I go through the first draft, if you will, the first rough draft. And then what I'll do is I'll go back in and I'll decide to add captions, I'll add motion graphics. And before we run out of time here today, I did want to go over a couple of those things with you because you are tuned in, which I absolutely appreciate, and I'm thrilled to have you here. So if we go into our captions and graphics window rather than the vertical window, and you download the link that is provided in this video right here, it should be on YouTube as well. I have a holiday recipe Mogurt that I've created custom specifically for this stream and for you to use at home for any of your videos moving forward. So if I drag this onto my timeline, you'll see that we have this Mogurt here. I'm going to move myself around. Here we go. Here we go. Somewhere. There we go. Alrighty. Okay. Let's make one of my favorite holiday recipes. Okay, so step number one, this is just a template that I put in for anyone to use at home. So it's perfect for a recipe video. And I just want to show everyone that's going to use this template sort of how it functions and why it's so powerful to use. So you can see here, if I click on the Mogurt, you don't have to go into After Effects. You don't have to be intimidated by creating like a cool little title. This is sweet because there's a little wiggle to it. There's some dynamic, just creativeness to it that's simple, but it still looks really cool. Let's make one of my favorite holiday recipes, right? So the number or the words are moving a little bit, and we can go in here and we can customize every color. We can customize the shape, the size, the spacing, all those things. And this was created specifically for the ones participating on this stream. So again, thank you very much. So if we wanted to take if we want to call this favorite holiday recipe, let's say, okay, so we can take step, and rather than step one, we're just going to call this favorite. All right. And then we can move. I know now it's a little bit off center. You have the position and the scale below. So we can take favorite and move that over. For number, we're going to go holiday. And maybe we want this to actually be more like Christmas festive. So we're going to go to the fill color. Okay. And I'm going to take the fill color and just select a picker that's a little more like green. That's a little too dark. All right. Let's go maybe more like Christmas color. Okay. That's cool. And then favorite, holiday, and then one, we're going to go up here and change this to recipe. All right, and we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to adjust this and move this. And I use these Mogerts in all of my videos just because it saves me so much time once I've created a style that I like. And then if we don't actually want the background, you could very easily take the opacity down too. So let's just drag that out. Now we just have yellow and white, and that maybe stands out a little more. But if we want that, we can keep it. We can change favorite to a different color. We can change the scale here. So maybe we want favorite to be a little bit bigger. All right, maybe we want holiday to be a little bigger. You can totally play around with all of these if you wish, and then you can just move all the fonts and the text throughout. So if we just wanted this to be one text, we like the wiggle, but we don't like everything. Let's just say recipe. We keep recipe and we delete holiday. We go down and we delete favorite. Okay, and now you just have favorite, or you just have recipe, and then we come in here and we can drag the opacity down of this. And now we have just one little. Let's make one of my favorite holiday recipes, right? So you can use that Mogert in a very customized way for your videos, and it's really, really powerful. All right, so most likely what I'll do after the stream is I'll go in, I'll add a few of these like little titles for the recipe itself, and I think that's just gonna give us something else to make that video a little bit more dynamic. And then the last thing, before I go into color grading, as we're running pretty low on time here, I think we're actually just about out of time. No, I think we got about 6 minutes left. We're gonna go into captions and graphics. We're still in there. Okay, I'm gonna drag myself around. Holiday James. As I go into my text, all right, 3 sources have not been transcribed. I'm gonna transcribe my audio because I want to create captions that are gonna stand out on my Instagram, so people that don't want to watch it with audio can actually follow along by just watching these captions. All right, so you can see that Premiere is doing its thing. Francis said, things like Mogerts also create consistency in my work. Absolutely. I like to know that some things will look exactly the same from one project to another. That's a huge point, Francis. Thank you for bringing that up. That is one of the reasons I have started to rely on Mogerts more heavily, because you want someone to watch your videos and immediately recognize, oh, that's James's work, because maybe the titles are stylized in the same color, or there's that little wiggle, or whatever it is. With a Mogert, you can create that style, you can create that consistency, and it is a really wonderful way to keep that brand aligned. All right, so you can see these are getting transcribed. I think we're good to go. And then captions are another way to stylize something so that it's your brand, it's your color, it's your style. So what I'm gonna do here is create captions from transcript. All right, and then we're gonna go down here. I like to have everything sort of on a single line, and then I'm gonna drag all these down, and this allows me to then have maybe 1 or 2 words per like caption rather than a whole sentence. I think that more and more that's becoming a trend, and it's easier for people to follow than a full sentence. All right, so we're gonna go create captions. I don't have a style here yet saved, but we're gonna show you how to save one. Create the captions. All right, and now if we go here, you can see that my captions are created. Let's make one of my favorite holiday recipes, okay? But I don't like the style. It just looks pretty basic and pretty boring. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go up to align. I'm gonna position this to the center. I'm gonna go to my font that I use, which is this Gibson font here, if it ever wanted to work. And then I like to just have everything all caps. I think it stands out a little bit more. We'll just keep that size as is for right now, and we'll just leave it a little bit basic and a little bit simple. All right, and then what I'm gonna do is go into my track style, and I am going to go all captions on track and then push this style to everything on the track. For some reason though, I'm not sure what's happening here. I've never seen that. Caption does not fit within text bounding box. Some text may not be burned into the video. That's the first time I've ever seen that. So I'm gonna actually delete that one, because then I can save a style, and then I'll just go in and make that one manually. Track style. Why is it not letting me save a track style? Oh, here we go. Create style. There we go. Okay, we're gonna just call this holiday captions. Boom. All right, and now we can see that every single one of those captions is in that exact style. Let's make one of my favorite holiday recipes. A traditional ragu with homemade tagliatelle. Awesome. And just that alone, being in the center of the frame, is going to help so much keep the viewer's attention, because on Instagram, on TikTok, there's like a whole border here at the bottom that ends up getting cut off if you put your captions where they auto-generate it. That's where your Instagram caption goes. That's where some of the comments go, the insights. So I tend to like to keep the captions, it's just easier in the middle unless I'm covering something. And then what I would do is kind of go in here and custom move it to make sure that it's not in the way of something else that I'm doing. All right, so if I play this back, First, start by dicing. So in this case, I have captions and I have a mogurt. So what I like to try to do is actually take the mogurt in this case and just use the mogurt, and then I'll remove the captions in that instance. All right, and then one other little hot take and trick that I just learned, I think I taught this on the last stream I was on and in one of my videos, is if you highlight these captions, traditionally captions are just basically a caption track. They're not a shape layer, they're not a graphic, and that's a little frustrating because if you wanted to animate them, you really couldn't do that before. So what I'm gonna do is highlight all these. Let me see if I remember how to do it. Okay, upgrade caption to graphic. And all this is gonna do is it's going to actually now take those captions, and you can see it move to like version 9 of my timeline. And so now every single one of these captions is its own graphic, which is amazing, super powerful. So if I wanted to actually come in here and create like more of an animation on those captions to, again, keep the viewer's attention, keep it more engaging, I could come to effects. I have a couple presets in here. Let's go to like zoom in. And if I put zoom in on let's make one of, so you can see that now it comes in as an animation instead of just on the screen. Okay, let's make one of my, so maybe I want to do favorite to just have a little more emphasis on favorite. Let's make one of my favorite holiday recipes. I love that. So cool. And again, this is just one little transition that I have on here as a little zoom transition. You can create different transitions inside of After Effects. You can bring them in here. There's tons of different presets already in Premiere Pro. And this is another great way to stylize those captions, keep it in a brand guideline. If you've ever seen any food videos on Instagram, you can kind of tell which food influencer or creator it is based on the captions, the mogurts, let's say, the style of the video, the sound, all those things really add up to create this wonderful brand that people keep coming back to. All right, so man, I'm impressed that we actually got through a good chunk of this, and I'm very, very excited. We have about 2 to 3 minutes left. So in our last couple minutes here, let me just show you my last step of what I would do, and that is a little bit of color grading. All right, so let's say here, I'm gonna hide this caption track. Beautiful, because now we can just turn it on and off. I'm gonna go into my other window here. I'm gonna go to color, right? And so this is how I shot this. I shot in a C-Log3 color profile, again, on a Canon R5, so that I can go in and I can create my own look and a LUT, or I can just create, some more dynamic range in the color profile. So I have my Lumetri scopes up, give that a second to load. And while we're doing that, I have a couple LUTs that I created here. So I'm gonna go into my creative panel. I'm gonna add a LUT here, which already from here to here does so much to the image, but it is a little bit warm. So what I'm gonna do is go to my basic color correction. I don't know why my scopes aren't coming up. Here we go, here are my scopes. You can see that the reds and the yellows are a little bit hotter than the blues. So what I'm gonna do is change the temperature a little bit, come in here, bring this down a little. We don't wanna remove all that warmth. I mean, it was a nice warm evening in the kitchen. I might take the highlights down a little bit, and I take the blacks. I like to have some really nice contrast in my work. So you'll see a lot of like these dark blacks and contrast. And then what I might do is go into my curves and take down, like, I don't love the saturation on Christine's pink shirt here. So what I might do is take the eyedropper here, sample that. You'll notice that I have this sampled, and I just want to pull some of that out. Not too much, because then it can get a little aggressive. And then we're pulling some of the like red tones out of the actual like pasta. So if we go before and after, it's subtle, but it just gives it that little something nice that I'm looking for your tag lead. And I think it just really, really stands out. So if we go to the before, this is what it looked like before color, and that's after. I mean, that's an incredible, incredible difference. You can see, I like doing the before and after when I have my scopes up, because that gives you the visual representation of what that dynamic range looks like. So before, and then we have the blacks are still preserved, and we still have a lot of room in the highlights if we wanted to bring that exposure up. Alrighty, everyone, that is pretty much it for me today on this holiday stream. I have had an absolute blast teaching you all about this wonderful holiday recipe. I hope that you've been inspired. I hope that you can take some of these tips and tricks home with you to create your own food videos, your own videos. And again, like I said, please message me on Instagram or find me on the socials. I am always happy to connect with other like-minded creatives. And before we get wrapped up here, I just want to remind everyone that the giveaway is in the link in the description. It will be over on YouTube. In this case, you have the one sheet sort of best practices of making a reel. So follow that, use it how you'd like, and the Mogurt that we just used in our video. And share what you make. Share what you make by tagging Adobe, Adobe Live on Instagram. And the community is just robust, and this is such a beautiful time of year to reflect and be grateful for how amazing you all are for joining us, and the wonderful creatives that we have in this community. So once again, thank you so much to everyone. I hope to share this later this evening, and have a happy holiday and enjoy the rest of the year, everyone. Take care. We'll see you soon.